Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Berkeley Alumni's Pass the Mic, where we pass the mic to you. I'm Jaquel Illy.
And I am, as they say, Hollywood Patrick Pharma.
Ooh, Hollywood. Why you Hollywood?
That's what my wife calls me. And she's like, oh, you're a hotshot. And then she has my friends call me that too. And just in general, whenever my wife gets with my friends, it turns into a roast of me. So that's my nickname when I'm like going out and filming or coming out to LA where we are now. I'm a Hollywood hotshot Patrick Pharma.
Yes. And when you wear glasses, you actually look like you may be from Hollywood, like in a movie.
It's not too late for me to start my acting career. Tomorrow is the LA Brunch,
whoop, whoop.
An annual event that I think it's almost about 30 years that we've been doing the LA Brunch.
Yes.
Not you and I, of course.
Nope, not quite. But the alumni office has been doing it, and we're super excited. We have some great performances, a really nice keynote speaking conversation. So we are looking forward to seeing everyone there and to come back with some deets.
Yeah, and we will be filming it, and we'll be playing it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Berkeley Alumni.
Yes, make sure you subscribe. Last night was an eventful night. So first of all, it is February. Happy Black History Month, y'all. So to kick off Black History Month, there was a dinner last night hosted by Dr. Emmett Price, and he is the Dean of Africana Studies. And he was able to host a dinner for the Black alums at the Village Studios, and we all came together. And so he just kind of gave everyone like an overview of his plans, how Berkeley is now, and to kind of hear them, what they need, how we can help them. So it was a really cool event to be at, and I enjoy talking to everyone and allowing them to know that we are there for them. So if you ever need anything, if you have any questions, or if we can help out in any way, please feel free to always email us.
Today, we're going to hear Jaquel's interview with 3 alumni who were alumni panelists for the Black Scholars Initiative this fall.
Okay, so the 3 alums that we was able to interview in this table talk discussion was Therlande Louissaint, Abria Smith, and Jaymz Hardy-Martin III.
I sat down with our old pal, Taiwana Flores, who we heard from during the Somos Latinx interview. Let's hear Taiwana talk about the Black Scholars Initiative. So today we're here to talk about BSI. How long has BSI been going on for?
Wow. So we are in our 7th year. And just for context, BSI is the acronym. Berkeley loves acronyms.
Yeah, absolutely.
But BSI stands for the Black Scholars Initiative. Again, we're in our 7th year, going really strong. Our retention and graduation rates have been solid in comparison to the program's peak pre-existence in 2017. And students are seeing their way through. You know, our COVID year was a little rough, but so was the world. So was everyone going through it in 2020. But BSI has been really a foundational key piece to Berkeley over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and you brought in some amazing alumni to come and speak with the students. I remember working with Ebony Williams, Courtney Harrell, Marshawn Davis. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's been a lot.
When alumni come back, specifically for BSI, we have shifted the narrative. Alumni pre-2017, like to say that, you know, we were bringing kids to campus before the start of the semester, to say that, we were building this essentially HBCU onboarding vibe, was foreign to Berkeley. So I'm so excited that, every year we're able to bring alumni back to speak to our entering class. So we're talking, alumni who have industry experience and these green first year students who want to do it all. And then alumni essentially humble them a little bit, like, take your time, everything will come when it comes. That kind of guidance is really important to set the tone before students start classes.
It's also that moment. I remember, like, when I was a freshman in high school, they'd do the freshman orientation.
Yeah.
And then, like, you feel like the campus is yours. Yeah. And you feel that belonging.
Yeah.
To be able to do that 7 years ago, but now to make it part of the institution, it just shows how successful it's been.
Exactly.
It's not just a one-off.
Yeah, and that's it. And a lot of folks kind of focus on the pre-orientation program, and I want the narrative to continue around what we do throughout the school year as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sure. We have a faculty staff mentoring program. We have a student leadership ambassador program. We do events. So we have a gala. We have community dinners. I mean, so it's really to keep the students engaged throughout the year. And also tapping into alumni when we can during the year as well, and partnering with other departments to actually see it through.
I think I hear a call to action for alumni here.
I think so too. Oh, another thing to share, you know, with BSI, it launched with just college students. And over time, we said, no, we have to involve our, what they call themselves, Boco Coco community, which is our Black students at the conservatory.
Okay, yeah.
So we folded in the conservatory student, and they've been part of the program for several years now. So all of that is really about keeping what works and pivoting when we need to, but not forgetting the why, not forgetting the purpose of why this program exists.
Do you see more growth in the future, especially during those school year programs, not just the orientation?
Yeah, I'm like dreaming up a whole lot right now. Yeah. I won't share too much, but I will say BSI has proven it works. Not that it needed to, because if you are Black and brown at Berkeley, you know we work and we do what we need to do. But you know, it's now been, again, a foundational piece of Berkeley, and now it's what's next, right? And it's important for me to really build intentional partnerships, not just at Berkeley College and Conservatory, but the Boston community as well. So I'll leave that there.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to wait till the next school year. We'll have to wait till season 2 to hear more, right?
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Taiwana.
Thank you.
We have a great show here today for everyone to listen to. So with me, we have 3 amazing and talented alums, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Therlande, aka T. Louis, Therlande Louissaint. I went to Berkeley. I started in the fall of 2007. I actually walked in 2012. I did music education at first, and then my last semester at Berkeley, I switched to pro music because I was like, nope, I don't want to do any of this. And I was like, I don't want to teach. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. You know, I was just a little blurred. And then I ended up teaching. So regardless, I still ended up doing that. I did some of the 5-week courses here at Berkeley, teaching. I also did movement for musicians. So when I was a student, we didn't have the conservatory. So I was doing a lot of the movement classes on my own. And it kind of just branched out into a bigger thing. And then Berkeley had a whole bigger plan with what they wanted to do with choreography and movement added in. So it was cool to see that evolution happen while my time was here. But right now, I'm an entrepreneur. I work on creating platforms for artists. So I put on festivals, shows, events that center around Black art, really. And that could be visual art or performance art, all different type of elements of art. Just allowing safe spaces for us to be creative, and for those who don't feel like they're in a place where they could express their creativity, that they could come into the spaces we create and feel at home. That's what I got going on.
That's a lot. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I just went on a spiel. I didn't know what you really asked, but
no, that was perfect. That was a great opening.
My name is Jaymz Hardy-Martin III. People know me as James, or some people know me as Skylar James. I am a ex-MP&E engineer. MP&E major at Berkeley. I was here from 97 to 2000. I'm currently still practice engineering, minor production, but not really, more of an engineer, live, studio, sound, whatever sound is needed. That's kind of what I do. Been fortunate and blessed enough to build a resume or arsenal of teammates, friends, some people I consider family, and worked at every major award show you could think of, or every major music event, from Super Bowl to NBA All-Star halftime shows, Oscars, Grammys, you know, anniversary concerts, whatever you call it. But I'm glad to be here. We're ready to share.
Love to hear it. And last but not least.
Hello. Abria Smith, and I'm like, what is the question? I'm going to be goofy. That's kind of who I am. I attended Berklee. I started in 93. I did the 5-week summer performance program, and then was fortunate enough to get a city music scholarship, and then attended Berklee. I studied music business management. And it's funny, I left Berklee for a couple years when I was done and then came right back. I've been working at Berklee since 2001 in community and government relations. And I'm currently the director for city and community engagement. And basically what our office does is handles like external relationships for the college. That includes like neighborhood relations and partnerships with the city. And we present music around Boston and parks in partnership with the City of Boston Parks and Recreation Department, and create opportunities for students to work in the community as well. So that's a little bit of what we do. And that's kind of what I've been up to, and trying to continue to keep some of my own art alive on the side, writing and like doing poetry and acting and whatever I can get into.
Oh, wow. So it's clear that you guys are multi-talented in all different areas. So shout out to y'all. Congrats to y'all on all of that. But how does it feel to be back on campus? I know when we were walking up to our room, you guys were feeling like a little nostalgia about knowing where your old classrooms were. Anything different or...
Well, I will say, and you probably can speak on it more because I came in 2007, but I was just really praising the new, organizations that are happening now at Berklee that are really actively creating diversity in the space. Because, there was only a handful of us that I could, look around and be like, oh, there goes a sis, or, there goes somebody that, culturally will relate with me. But it was only a slim picking. But now it's seeming like that is growing tremendously. And I think we deserve that. We deserve to be in spaces like this, especially in creative spaces, especially learning contemporary art where a lot of the bases are, rooted in our, diaspora. So,
yes,
yeah,
that's a great point.
Makes me feel old. I mean, that's my first reaction. I
definitely does make me feel old too.
But
you don't look old though. I don't look like it. You know what they say.
But at the same time, it's kind of satisfying to see that the school isn't lacking behind in some aspects, and something as simple as keeping things up to date where technology, or even just from remodeling the buildings and finding more efficient ways to get students around and house students, and even just something as simple as a cafeteria, better set up a system there, or the what is it called? The cafeteria. I forgot what we called it.
Calf shows.
Calf shows were like huge.
We were in the basement of the one for
the basement.
Basement calf shows.
Those were hot though.
Yes, they were.
The basement calf show. It was like more of the club atmosphere.
Exactly. It was like bashment parties.
Music and lights and stuff.
Well, speaking of club, we used to turn the cafeteria that used to
a
be
night party.
Yeah, that would be. For us, it was the BSU would have link with either Boston College or Boston University's like fraternity or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And we'd have our annual party during when you put the clocks back in October. What's it called? Fall back. So you get an extra hour to party to 2 a.m. So the cafeteria was like super lit. So it's like it wouldn't be as cool if it was where the cafe is now. You know what I mean?
They have a stage now.
The basement house party is type vibe there, but it's also cool that, the number one purpose of the cafe is for food and feeding and health, and it looks and is moving a lot more efficient and better. So things like that are great, but like I said, at the same time, it makes you really feel dated because that 150 entrance, I couldn't even you can't even describe how it used to look because it's so different,
What made you guys choose Berklee? What about Berklee kind of draw, you had your attention on here, or did it just come out of nowhere and it ended up working out?
Well, my story is kind of funny. I didn't find out about Berklee until I was a senior in high school. I played trumpet, so I always wanted to be like an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer. I spent the summer as a rising senior at MIT in another minority program called MITE. So a few thousand people apply, 45 get in. The running joke when I was in the program was I was the 45th acceptance, and I was more like a experiment to see.
Oh my gosh, why are they playing with you?
Cause
So rude.
that MIT, that program was kicking my ass, to be honest.
Look at you now, though.
But the point was that I always wanted to minor in music. And because that was beating me up so much, it's right across the river. I ended up stumbling on Berklee and seeing the pamphlet of music production and engineering. I saw engineering, I saw music. I was like, forget this. I want to do Berklee. And then the other deciding factor was we're in Boston. It's a great city. There's a lot of freshmen coming in every year. There's a public transportation. The mystique behind Berklee and the area we're in. So that was how I ended up jumping in here. Yeah.
My story is not like that, but I will say that we have something similar. I used to play the trumpet too.
Oh, cool.
I played the trumpet. I was always in music, one way or another, like whether it was at church. Well, that's where I first rooted my acknowledgement to knowing any type of music was in church. And growing up, I was never studious. Like, I sucked at school. Me in school were just we never got along. I was always the one that teachers were calling home to my parents. Something was going on. Yeah, I don't know. I was a rebel without a cause. And the only escape that I would have, and that kind of kept me in line, with my education was music. So, I was in choir, show choir and stuff like that in high school. And, I did my first tour in high school, with the concert choir. We went to Prague, Vienna, and Salzburg for like the Mozart's 50th something. They picked like a handful of people from the choir. It was nice. But I remember talking to another choir director in the school, and he was more the, he was doing like gospel music at the school. I was telling him how I don't necessarily relate to some of the choral music that I was doing, but, I told him of all the music that I listened to on the side, and he was like, you should think about Berklee. And it was my senior year of college too, because I was, I was either not going to go to school at all or just, figure out like something in a community college back home. And he was like, you should look at Berklee. And I was like, no. And then a friend of mine, Jasmine, was coming. She was in her first year at Berklee, and she came back to the high school just to talk to some of the students. She pulled me aside, and she's like, Mr. McKenzie told me you're interested in Berklee. And she literally sat me down and talked to me about it. And I was like, wow, this seems like somewhere I could feel comfortable and I could, gain something from. So it was the only school I applied to, and the only school that I got accepted to, because it was the only school I applied to.
Wow. That 100.
Yeah. And I don't know how this process is now, but like you apply and then you go through like an audition process. And I was just like, it felt like an American Idol thing for me, really. And so when I got accepted, I was like, wow, I guess I'm actually going to college. And I'm one of 8 kids with my family. And so I was the only one that left home to go to college.
How was that? Was that kind of hard?
Yeah. I remember coming here for orientation, and all of my siblings came, my mom, my dad, and my grandma. And we were in the Berklee Cafe in the basement and just crying. Just everybody so like not sad, but just like proud. And also like you're leaving your baby for the first time. It was my first time away from home and doing everything on my own. So it was just a lot of emotions. But I stayed. I'm still in Boston, and I kept my relations with some of the professors, some of the administrators here, and I regret nothing.
I don't know. My story was weird. I don't know if I knew anything about Berklee before I went. I don't remember knowing about Berklee. I never really studied music or anything like that before I attended, but I did, probably starting around the age of 14 or so, start kind of like performing with like little groups and talent shows. I remember the first group, it was really bad. But there were some hilarious moments. We had fun, and I would like write rhymes for the group and stuff, and then it was just fun.
I hope you have videos of that.
Oh my gosh, I could dig some funny things up. But fortunately, we got a little better over the years. But that's kind of how I started, like kind of with music. And I think that there was always a love for music in my household. Like no matter what we did, my parents had some type of music playing. So that's why I always there was a theme song to everything. To everything I did, there was always a song in my head. But then after I started performing, and I'll also say that I went to private school for like 6 years, and at the end of that, I was like, oh God, I'm so done with school. I was, so I was taking a year off, but my mother actually worked. You talked about like community college. My mother worked at a community college, so I was able to get gen eds for free there while she was, she was working there. So I transferred some credits in when I finally did come to Berkeley.
I wish I did.
Yeah, but it still took me forever because studying music for me was like learning a different language because I had never been exposed to all that stuff. I was like, what? Huh?
Harmony,
movable
ear training.
You're doing what with dough and why? And but the way, going back a little bit, I think the way that I found out before I attended the 5-week, I think there was a family friend who had attended Berklee, and maybe in that a little before that summer before I started, I think that's how I found out about it and applied for the 5-week. I do not remember applying to Berklee. I know I must have had a lot of help because it's all a blur, but I do remember that back in the day, they used to, instead of having you come in to do like interviews and auditions, they let you do a cassette. They let you submit a cassette as an audition piece. I have no idea. Like, I don't remember what I recorded or why they even wanted to listen to it. But yeah, I will definitely say that being a good student is probably what really helped me to get into Berklee, and having really just like solid teachers, like from the 5-week kind of just rooting for me and showing support that way and saying, I definitely feel like that, that's what it was. So I'm grateful for all of the experiences I had, and I'm grateful that Berklee somehow became a part of my life. And I can definitely say I pretty much grew up at Berklee, because I've been working at Berklee since 2001, and I wasn't away from Berklee for too many years before I came back and started working. So yeah. Berklee's like home.
Yes, I completely understand what you're talking about. So I wanted to know, like, how was community cultivated for all of y'all? Like, once you were on campus, like, how did you find like that cohort or those people that were going to kind of like push you along?
It could be just because I come from a large family. I'm always around a lot of people. So I would, after classes were over, like when I think it was like 6 o'clock was like the last class at Berklee, I would rent out one of the classrooms. I don't know if students are still allowed to do that, but I would rent out one of the classrooms and remove all of the desks and just host my own free dance classes. And so some of the students would just come, and I would just keep the door open. I would blast it out to my friends on Facebook, like, hey, come and join me. And it just started becoming this thing every Wednesday night. I remember Wednesday nights I would clear it out, and just me and my good girlfriend would just create choreography and teach it to some of the students, and for no reason, no cause, just to have something active to do after a full day of class. And so while doing that, that's how I started creating a community for myself at Berklee. And I started to see how much of a need it was in the school. And some of the professors started seeing that too. They had this program called the Live Well program when I was still at Berklee, and one of the administrators for the Live Well program contacted me as a student and was like, yeah, would you like to actually officially do this as like a program to get paid for, So as I was a student, they would block out all of 921, the upstairs, the loft, and they gave me that space, and I would empty it out and literally bring people. And it wasn't just for Berklee students. At this point, it became a community thing. So it was just a free Wednesday night choreography class. I started bringing people in from all over.
Right.
Yeah,
that's like humble beginnings.
School was paying you to do it too?
Yeah, they were paying me, which was weird. And I was a student.
Let me know something.
So that's kind of how I started my little career with Berklee too. Because after I when I was still a student, I was working with the Yo team. The Yo team is non-existent anymore. anymore at Berkeley, but I was with Rob Rose, Donna McElroy, Ken Zambello, just like a bunch of those older heads who kind of helped like as a mentorship for me. But they, while they saw me doing that as a student, they, one of the showcases that I was just doing choreography for like the background singers and stuff, they presented me with a scholarship for doing those type of movement stuff. And they said it was the first one they ever gave at the school. So I always say that. I never fact checked it, but you know, they said it was. They said. So, you know, I always said like, you know, I'm the first person to get a scholarship at Berkeley for choreography. But yeah, once I started doing that, I think it kind of just created a name for me, and also created a community of people that saw like, you know, I like to create space. It's not about anything. Like I didn't need it. I wasn't creating it for like Instagram videos or like YouTube or whatever. I was just literally like, whoever wants to come and join me in this moment, come on, it's free, it's open, we're just here to get free, and then go back home and go to sleep.
Yeah, creating opportunities. That's really cool.
When I came to Berkeley, BSU was really big. You know, and the person running it, Tanisha Hall, she was very, she was very involved. And sidebar to that, she actually runs a nonprofit academy back in LA now. So it makes sense that at the time she was the president of the BSU. So she was very, you know, warm and welcoming for all freshmen and everyone coming into the school. So between the BSU and then just some of the Black teachers, it made it cool. Like obviously Carl was huge. Then Walter Beasley was also here at the time. Then I met Karen throughout the years, but in that freshman and sophomore year, it was like those three things: meeting Carl, because he was also an MP&E teacher, of course. Walter was just I forgot, I didn't have him for nothing, but him being Black and me being another Black man, and you know, he was warm and welcoming, and and then you know, I probably got into some riffraffs now and again. You know, they try to keep you alive, but you know, so. Now you got so many other things with the BSI and getting to come a whole week early and all of that. Yeah. You know, I think that's good because again, times are changing, so it's not. The transition may not be as easy to move. You know, away from home or wherever you are. So
yeah, I think for me. Sometimes community was hard because, so I lived in Boston. I wasn't living in the dorms, and so I always had a way to escape. And I always liked it. There was always a part of me that was like off to the side. And it's like, well, I had friends and people I really liked and respected, and friends that I have to this day. There's always a part of me that's a little bit of a loner, and I'm very like introverted. So I really needed a lot of alone time to recharge after any like social interaction. So. Being a day student made it very, very, very easy for me to run away and hide at the end of things, but be in my own little world. And I think I did deal with like depression a lot, and I think in a way some of that can be very isolating, and it's hard when people don't necessarily know like kind of what's going on. It's a little harder to like be consistent. And I feel like maybe Berkeley has a lot more like resources to help students not fall through the cracks. But I definitely will say there were, you know, reasons why I struggled, you know, in a lot of ways here. But I definitely met so many people who were just like talented and caring and just inspiring. There are so many things that I gained from being at Berkeley. But I guess like, just like anywhere else, like for me, depending on the person you are, you may struggle because it's harder. It's harder for you to kind of stay like in communities, because I've always had this thing where like, no, I won't conform to like the ways of this. I'm not going to speak how a group speak. It was always weird. It was like, it's like a push and pull thing. It's like, oh, I like this person. I like, you know, I like how it feels when things are good in this group, but I don't want to do the same things as other people.
Like, was it like you felt like you wasn't able to relate to them? Or?
It's not even like I felt like I couldn't relate to anyone. It's like, I think I can basically move around into any group and get along with anyone. So it's like there's always some point of a connection that I could find with people. But I think after a certain point, I'm done peopling. like really, and I have to recharge. So I think that's the thing that made it hard for me sometimes. I always had to have a time where I was disconnected. And sometimes when you disconnect, it's harder for people to know kind of like what's going on, So that's what I'll say. But I definitely would say that over the years, there were people who like got to know me on some level and really, really were just supportive and yeah, there were a lot of people who helped me in a lot of different ways, and I'll say a lot of teachers who were very patient. A lot of teachers who were patient with me, because sometimes I was just like, I don't get it. I don't want to get it,
Today's not the day.
I'm like, not today. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It was definitely interesting. But I will say that, like I said, I'll repeat that I do think there are more resources for students. There probably were some resources that I would have benefited from back then that I think are here now. And I'm really glad, like even for things like BSI, I think that's absolutely, it's amazing.
Yes. Do you all feel that with BSI, that would have been like a great addition when you guys were on campus?
1,000%. Mm-hmm. Yes. It wasn't a huge culture shock as far as race goes. Well, when I was growing up, I grew up in Huntington, Long Island, which was predominantly white. So I dealt with a lot of I dealt with that. And then when I moved to CI, it was predominantly Hispanic and Black. And so I've dealt with all of those pools. But when I came to Berklee, the culture shock that it was for me was the talent. I was not immersed in that much talent coming from high school, coming from being like, you're the special ones in this little pocket of the neighborhood. I came in and it was just a pool of we're all the special ones. And it was just an influx of talent that some I've seen and some I've never seen before or heard before, and things that were super inspirational, but also like intimidating. So that was my type of culture shock that I dealt with at Berklee, because I was singing, and I was singing more on the choral side. I wasn't singing as a Black woman. I was automatically like, she's in gospel, and it's like, no, she does R&B, and I'm like, nope, I'm singing Mozart. I wasn't necessarily and I can dance. I wasn't necessarily I was singing choir songs, but not that type of choral music. So that was the culture shock for me, and that's when I started to feel a little out of place, because I wasn't finding that community. But there's a ton of us in the Black community that it's not just like stereotypical gospel, big voice, Black girl. It's like you like all facets of music and all different types of. You have that eclectic taste. So that was my cultural shock experience at Berklee.
That was really good. That was a really good, because culture. When we said it,
you automatically think of race, but I'm like, there was a different kind of shock that happened for me.
Huge, because everybody that goes here is like the best of where they are, from where they come from. When you come in here and you be like, oh, I'm trash.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You might second guess yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and then you make that decision, like fight or flight, or do I want to change career paths, or what do I want? Like she said, you play trumpet, I play trumpet, so we were in the same. I got up here and I was like, yo, he's good. Yeah. I said, how many semesters do I need before I can put this horn down? It's a 4. Okay, knock it out.
I think it was like that. It was definitely like that for me too, because, well, for one, I was an extremely shy person in general, and it's different. You see a lot of like really like outspoken, really like powerful vocalists who are around, and I'm like, oh, I don't do that.
Right. I can't run for nothing.
I'm like run. Oh, yeah. And people saying like they grew up singing in church. I didn't grow up singing in church, and I think it was different because my while there were a lot of similarities to like my Black experience, there were a lot of things that I didn't do that a lot of my peers did, and I would say coming in like I wouldn't say there was like any sort of like cultural shock as far as like race or anything like that, because I like starting from like 4th grade is when I like start, did the whole busing thing like you were talking about. I was in MECO schools.
MECO, yeah, exactly.
You did MECO. I was like Dover, Sherborne. So it was like, predominantly white schools.
Same. And you really got to sign up for MECO like 6 days after birth.
I was going to say when you're born.
Literally, your mom got to
when your mother gets the pregnancy test, you're like, if it's a girl, I'm going to name them.
The waiting list is about 6 years.
Yeah, the waiting list is
to get you in school.
Right? Yeah. So I did that, and then ended up going to private school after that because the MECO coordinator for our area had a program that prepared students for independent schools, and he helped us all to be placed at private schools. But so when I came here, that wasn't anything. If anything, I was like, oh, there are a few Black people here.
Right,
I was like, Black friends, And I also, for me, like I said, I lived in Boston. I lived in, I guess, what you would call Black Boston. Like I grew up in like Roxbury and Dorchester. So it was like, I got to see Black people when I went home.
That was the Black people, right?
Yeah. And, but still, when I got here, there were some folks, to this day, some of them still work here, and they're like, "Yeah, you were weird." I'm like, "I still am." Oh no, but like in a nice way. I'm like, I am, because I think a lot of it is, a lot of us have our little weird things about us, but I think people, but a lot of people think that they have to hide that, and I think I never really had the ability to do that. I'm like, I could pretend, but not really, because it's always going to come out. I'm like, I'm a weirdo. Hello.
That's a great point. So, how do you amplify your own self in these big rooms, right? Like, whether they're big rooms or just even like white spaces, how do you amplify yourself, but then also you as a Black individual? Obviously, there's no way that we can hide our Blackness, right? So it's just like, how do we stand in these rooms and be proud of it? Like, this is take all of me or none of me, right?
That takes
time. I think that definitely a time thing, but also knowing that you shouldn't have to do that, right? So if you're going into a room and anticipating them to label you a certain way or think of you a certain way, I think that's when you start to dim your light and try to make yourself look like something that they want you to look like. I think if you're true and authentic to yourself, and you can't shy away from who you are, if you are a true Black person, and whatever your focus is and whatever you want to emit, I think that's what it is that you stay true to who you are. I know it's pretty vague, but I'm not somebody that likes to conform when I come into a room. I don't want to what's they call it? Yes, I don't want to code switch if I go into a room.
I would also say I think it depends on what your upbringing is like. I think it depends on who your parents are, how they perceive Blackness, and how they teach you to be proud. Like my mother, it was always super militant, I'm like, okay. And the thing that was hard for me is during my, the middle school years, when you're kind of learning who you are and how you are. And on one side you have this, it's like, take your Blackness. You wear this shirt to school that says Black by popular demand, right. Black to the future, and then you're in this school and it's like people don't they don't have the same experiences as you. Right. They don't exactly look like you. And you're still trying to figure out who you are. So there's a struggle. It's like, I want to fit in. It's like, yeah, I know I'm Black. Yeah, see, but Black and I'm proud. Right. And then it's hard. And it's like when you're in that phase of your life, when you're just trying to figure it out, and you're trying to figure out how to make friends and stuff. That was a really tricky time. That was a really tricky time. But I will tell you this: my mother was never going to be the type to let me not go into a space and be like, yeah, I'm Black,
right.
What, proud. But not, but she was like Black on a t-shirt,
expressive.
That was my mom, and I appreciated that. Although it was very hard, because it's like when you're a kid, it's like in some ways you do want to fit in on some level, and then it's like you're still kind of reminded that you're different.
Yeah.
So it was weird, and it was a process, but I do think that you do come out stronger in the end of it, at the end of it, and it's not like, okay, so this is Black, this is something that I put on and say I am this. No, it's just it's just being who you are, and it's not a performance. It's not it's not sort of like an educational session for anybody. It's just that's who you are. That's how you were brought up, and you're going to be Black in any environment, So
I saw this quote on this church billboard. It said, to some people, you're the only Bible that they read. And you take, yeah, it is. So you take Bible out, and if you put like Black person, like to some people, you're the only Black person people may have seen or interacted with. So taking that, and because my whole life I've been around multi-races and multi-cultures, I'm always just like putting my best foot forward. I'm not trying to impress people, just being who I am. I don't really necessarily look at it as a race and all of that. It's just like, if I'm hired to be an engineer, I'm about to impress you as the best engineer ever. Yeah. And the results of my actions may lead to an impression of an amplified Black person, or in the 90s when I started growing my dreads, it was like dreads wasn't that popular or that big. So then it was killing the stereotype of, a person with dreads is just a drug dealer or ex-con or something. Yeah. So in answering your question, that's never really been embedded in my mind as, hey, represent Black culture. I'm really representing myself and my parents. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like how I've always moved forward. And as I was telling the kids earlier, it's like in the real world, people that are out here to do a job or make their career or whatever the job is, they don't look at anybody as that race. They look at you as like, you're the A1 or you're the A2 or you're the tech, you're the assistant, you're the receptionist. That's how they're looking at you. And as long as you're doing your job, the A people born in the 80s and 90s, they grew up in a different time and culture where it was a more melting pot, where it was a little less racism and, are frowned upon. So I think now in our day and age is just be yourself, and don't. Some people like to do like you said. I have a coworker who does that. Every outfit he wears is something Black pride or me and my. You know what I mean?
And I still do stuff like that too. Like I'll still support the Black owned business that has a Black shirt that has Black power or whatever. I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna rock it. But I just don't. It's not an act. It's not something that I'm doing. I'm not putting it on. Yeah. It's just a natural reaction for me to want to support my people. And also, like, part of my job is creating platforms for us. I want us to continue to, have platforms and have spaces where we could, be truly ourselves. So yeah, like, just like you said, like I could rock it if I want to, but it's not necessarily because I have to you're just being you. Yeah, and as you, that's part of what you would do,
Exactly. Yeah, if it's you, it's you. But I don't think like in any job situation, you don't have to say, hey, I'm a New Yorker, or hey, I'm Black, or hey, I'm from Boston, all that, you don't put your work forward, and the other stuff will shine naturally.
Yeah. That's a really good tip.
And you represent, and then they'll represent what they see on the outside now that they've learned more about the inside or your skill set. It's like
true. And I think people just like relate to others when they're just their authentic self, right? Because then it's like, why are you putting on a show? Like, who are you really? Like, how can I get close to somebody who's not their authentic self, right? So I think that's some really good points. I also wanted to ask, like, how did Berklee set you up for your current successes?
I would say this is how I felt, back to the thing that I said was a really good point, the competition type thing. I felt in high school I was a student that played the trumpet. That was great. Like I'm the best student. But as soon as I got to Berklee, I felt like I was the worst professional. If that makes sense, because once you get to Berklee, now you're spending money on your career. It's no longer a hobby. It's a job. Investing. So if I can't play at that time, Roy Hargrove was really great. Nicholas Payton were great trumpet players. So if I'm not willing to put in the work to be as good as them, I need to figure out what I'm going to do, because not only am I doing a disservice to myself, but I can literally mess up my career. And the mystique and the energy at Berklee, because I'm very competitive. Yeah. I don't care what we're doing. So I kind of like that. But
I don't hate it. But I just,
But of course, everybody's different. So what motivates me may not motivate
totally
you.
The opposite.
The next person.
Yeah.
But for me, having some of that energy here, it helped me thrive in the real world. And then trying to get an MP&E too, that was at the time, I don't know if it still is, you had to apply.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't in the first year. So it was like, I'm a studious person. I'm going to get these A's, get these B's. I'm going to let you know, like, I'm serious. I want to be in this room, you know, because I'm competing with a couple other people. Yeah. So I didn't come to Berklee to do like, you know, music synthesis. No shade to that. I want this, you know, so. No. I mean, I could say any of the majors. That was just the first one that came to my mind. Because we just came from that room. That's it. See, y'all be sorry.
What I would say that Berklee did to kind of help to broaden my horizons and to allow me to experience things that I would not have otherwise experienced, it connected me to people from all over the world. And from that, I had opportunities to like perform in other countries. Like I had opportunities to write, even like, you know, with faculty members who had things like some of my like poetry, spoken word stuff to, you know, on there. I had like opportunities to work with people I never would have imagined, you know, that I could work with. And it definitely helped to build confidence because that intimidation thing is real. I was like, oh my God, why am I here? Yeah. You know, so it definitely was like that. But that's one thing that I'm so grateful for the people that I've met and kind of just the way that they've added to my understanding of music and the world and people. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. It brings people, Berklee attracts people from everywhere with so many different talents, even things other than the talents they came here for. Like there are so many layers to people and yeah, it's just amazing when you connect and like magic happens.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I was going to say, for one, networking was not something that I was doing or even thought of before I came to Berklee. And then you really hear the talk of it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that really played a huge role in my career now because I not only performed with, but I worked with my professors because I stayed connected and I networked with them, but also built relationships. But it first started off as networking, as building those networks of people and community that would help support me or help be a guide or a mentorship for my career. And on top of that was, like I said earlier with the Yo team, producing events at Berklee helped me produce my stuff now. Like I would say most of my producing experience came from here.
Everything came like full circle, right?
Exactly.
Trust the process. Mm-hmm. So you guys came up with some like really good tips, like networking and being our true selves. Do you have any other tips to give these students who are coming to campus for this upcoming year and for the rest of their career here at Berklee? Like any other tips?
Hard work, really.
Hard
work and being prepared. That's what I was telling them earlier. Because you can network and get an opportunity, but if you're not prepared, it's a wrap. You know, like, you done wasted somebody's time. So during the grind of being a freshman, sophomore, whatever, or even if you end up leaving early for an opportunity, that opportunity came and you're ready for that opportunity because you were preparing for it, you know?
Yeah.
So have goals, work on a plan towards those goals, but your whole time here prepared. That's what you're here for. Not to start a family, not to sightsee. You know what I'm saying? You know, not to find a life spouse.
You never know what you're doing here.
You got to avoid all of that while you're here because you're spending money, you know, for the Berklee name, for the mystique, you know, for the competition, for the culture, for all of that. But at the end of the day, when you leave here, you want to build a career.
You like set yourself up for success, basically.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And you got to be prepared for that. The only way to be prepared is grind.
And I would say, like, definitely that you definitely have to work for anything that you want. But I would say on the other side of that, you need to be able to play and to care for yourself just as hard as you're working. Because if you don't, you will burn out and you won't be any good to anyone.
How can they take care of themselves? What should they do? Like, just
I think
take a
that
step
when
back?
people's bodies and minds are telling them that it's time to rest, you rest, and then you come back and you do all that you can. It's not going to benefit you to keep pushing through when you're like at that point where you're going to fall off a cliff. Like then it's too late because the time that it will take you to recover from being pushed that far, you know, it's like you waste more time than you would just stepping back and be like, you know what? I just need to rest. I need to disconnect from this, and that, and then I can come back and be better. It maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day.
2 steps back.
You got to listen to yourself and take care of yourself and stop trying to do what everyone else is doing, because it's like we're all individuals, and know yourself is a huge thing. You got to know yourself. You got to know your limits. You have to know what you need and listen to yourself.
Right.
Your own competition. Just be competitive with yourself.
That's right. Yeah. Always make your best better and stop trying to reach what somebody else
your
is doing.
Your path isn't going to be the same as someone else's. It takes some of the same work, dedication, mental health, relaxing, sleeping, hard work, connection, networking, but at the rate you go may not be the same as someone else. And if you spend too much time watching and focusing on somebody else, like you said, you'll burn yourself out really fast.
Yeah, really.
Always make your best better. I like that.
I like that too.
That was nice.
I'm going to write that one down. I like it. Okay. I would say I love all of those points. I would have definitely went with those two. In addition, I would tell, and I always try to tell any student that I meet, use up these resources. You are here. And you're not just here to go to class. There's so many other things that are involved with your college experience. And there are so many things that we don't know that are offered to us. Go to wherever the administrative offices are. See what the free things that the school is offering. See what go speak to your teachers and see what their office hours are. Sit down and pick their brains, because those are the people that you're going to be working with tomorrow. Who knows? Like, I really think that using up this experience in its whole entirety, as opposed to just going to school, is important when you're here. Just grasp it. You have all of these class equipment here in the studios, and use everything that you can now, because you have it. It's in your package. It's in your tuition. Just don't let that dollar just go straight to your bed and to the books. There's so many other things. Right. Absolutely. Take advantage.
Office hours.
Yeah.
I was telling the kids that earlier. I used to be on my teachers' heads
all the time.
Every week.
All the time. Most of the time to gossip, but none of the time
keeping it real.
Asking questions, because you said, they were, some of them were doing stuff outside of the school or had done stuff outside of school. So I was on their heads, or any of the clinics they had, Prince Charles is here now teaching. But when I first met him, he came up here just to do a mixed clinic, and I followed his ass down to back to New York. He went back to New York to mix, and me and my friends skipped class one day, took the train or bus down to New York.
What an adventure.
I mean? But the point was just, like you said, using the resources. I met him from Berkeley. From Berkeley, So it was we paid for the tuition. We paid for that clinic in Berkeley. So
we paid for that plane ticket for him to
we go to dinner. What do you drink? Okay, cool. Let's go. We need to learn some more.
All of that. It's just you go to a music festival and you see there's different booths of things, and sometimes you're like, dang, I didn't get a chance to go to that booth. Shucks, it's over with. And it's you're here for 4 years. Go and run up these pockets, because you paid so much. Right. You paid so much. Use it. Get all the resources that you deserve.
Well, thank you so much. That is all that we have for y'all to answer today. Thank you for taking some time and kind of giving back to the community so they can know what's going on and how to be great in their own careers. So we appreciate y'all.
Thank you. This was fun, and it was really fun getting to learn.
Yes, I feel connected with you guys.
Hey everybody, it's Luis.
And Denny.
Thanks to donors like you, Berkeley is able to support student success year-round.
And thanks to your support, programs like the Black Scholars Initiative are able to bring in alumni, like the ones you're listening to now.
So if you're interested in supporting initiatives like this,
go to berklee.edu/giving.
See you guys later.
All right, everyone, that was our episode with the BSI alums with Abria, Therlande, and Jaymz. What do you think about it?
My key takeaway was I think they really appreciated seeing the differences that came along for students now. I think we look back and look at maybe the way mental health was looked at, the way, different services were looked at. And I think there's been a lot of evolution at Berkeley, but also in society in terms of valuing these things more and understanding that there's a holistic approach to education. I saw a lot of appreciation in the services and opportunities that are available for students now. And I think it just is a really great point to look and see the growth of the institution.
Yeah, absolutely. One part that really stuck out to me is when they were talking about the importance of just being authentic to oneself and just trusting and believing in yourself and your craft, no matter who you're around and their own capabilities. You know, it's okay and it's natural, but you can also do great things as well. So
right.
I think that they dropped a lot of gems. I always say that gems are dropped in these episodes, but I really do feel that way. I feel like we can all learn and grow from each other's experiences and kind of see how we all relate to one another.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the spirit of this podcast, is being able to talk to people and hear how they figured out their career paths and their life. And I think Abria really said it best about really taking the time to rest and to get and to listen to your body. You know, I know there's a lot of instances where singers were really pushing themselves until their voices gave out, and then they had to stop and rest and not talk and not sing, and that really is painful. I'm the type of person that goes 100 miles an hour all the time. But I guess now as I get older, I got to listen to my body more, and sometimes my body's like, "Yo, chill."
Yeah.
And I got to listen to that. So I think the more we hear that and the more that we give ourselves permission to do that as artists, as, you know, as driven career oriented people, you know, it's really important. And again, that's a growth too, you know. Before in the past, it would be, you just got to grind and grind and grind and grind and grind.
Right.
Now it's like, yeah, you got to grind, but you also got to give yourself a little break so that you can grind even harder next. So,
yes. So make sure you take care of yourself, whatever that may be. Go give yourself a spa day, get your nails done, get a massage. You know, you deserve it. We all work hard. So
this is your call for self-care, everyone.
Right. If you was looking for a sign, this is it.
All right. And to play us out today, we have a song from our Spotify playlist, Alumni Mixtape 23, playlist by Berkeley Alumni Affairs. We have Camouflage Pain by Kelvin Frazier.
Deuces.
Have you ever fell in love but they don't want you back? Have you been in a room with someone who don't want you there? I'm in need of a job and the bills are piling up. This emotional roller coaster only has room for me. Camouflage pain, hiding inside. Camouflage pain, but no one else to see. Camouflage pain, it's slowly killing me. Camouflage pain, just wanna be accepted. Oh yeah. You're supposed to hold me down, but you stab me in the back. I'm fighting for my life, bearing untold stories inside me. These thoughts hurt me so bad I can barely breathe, yeah. People are dying around me, survival is what I